podcast from Drew and Mike is, I think it's really cool, and that is what I wanted to say.
Two and a mic. Two, 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 two and a mic. Two, 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 two and a mic. Chris and I share a number of passions, and chief among those are politics, sociology, food, and basketball. In this brief conversational episode, we talk about the midterms, why politics in the US is a certain way, campaigning and its many strange characteristics, and of course a final sojourn into basketball, our team, the league campaign so far, and what we enjoy most about the sport. Chris is fun to talk with, and he throws insight into the chat cunningly disguised as a personal anecdote from the good old days. It's always a pleasure, Chris, and I look forward to the next one. Happy Thanksgiving all. Take care. Chris, I have to say, we haven't had a podcast since April last year, by the way.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just horrendous.
No, let's do it. I just, your time and my time were just on different schedules.
We live in the same city. Now, let's bring it back to our reality then. We're almost a week on from the midterms. And yeah, okay, it's quite clear that didn't quite go the way that the Republicans wanted it to go. It's a bit of a mixed bag because the Democrats might lose the House. But how do you feel about the midterms?
I mean, there was a couple of elections that I was disappointed in, mainly like the governor's race in Georgia. I wanted to see Stacey Abrams win, but it just didn't work out. But I'm happy this red wave didn't really come through, that maybe people are kind of realizing it's not, that there's a big problem there. Georgia still, Georgia, the last election, or the 4 years ago, Abrams almost won. Warnock got in, and the other guy, I forget his name, were elected. And then it's like 4 years later, it's like a total turnaround. And honestly, Herschel Walker is about to win. And it's like, this guy is not even a politician. He's a ex-NFL player, definitely has CTE. I mean, I was watching him talking on TV, and he's like making jokes about movies, about Talladega Nights, like real fair. Like he's like, I'm Ricky Bob. You're not first, you're last. And I'm like, this is just so backcountry Georgia. And they found this black, figure that they can use to say, look, we're not being racist, and they just put him up there, take him, and so they can change these laws back, or maybe abortion laws. But I was talking to some people who were have family down there, and they were talking about there's a runoff, and how Abrams and Warnock and the Democrats, they didn't run a proper campaign. Everybody's doing these TV ads. If you're in the U.S., Zach, it's the craziest thing. Every 15 minutes, there's a political ad during an election about their opponent, and they just bash the opponent. They have snippets from videos, or they take quotations of stuff they said in the past, and live stuff. And it's just every 15 minutes, different elections all the time, and it's just like they pay $2 million for these ads. And this next runoff, I heard that there's gonna be another $2 million just for the runoff they're putting into this. And they said the issue with what they didn't do is they didn't start a grassroots movement. They just putting ads out, paying money, when they needed to get people to go door to door, building. Some people are doing these a basketball night, and they have a couple NBA players, or they have a the local community will play each other. They raise money. They raise awareness for voting. So it'll be like basketball for votes or something like that. Or they'll have like a cookout, or um, have a concert for voting. And this is how you can get people involved. And like Rock the Vote was really big in like the early 2000s, 90s. Like MTV was throwing a concert with all these celebrities and bands, and they would talk about why you need to vote, and they would register people to vote at the concert, And I
Mm.
think what the Democrats did in Georgia, what I'm hearing from people is like they didn't do this, and they just went for the TV ads, which actually makes people like it. Yeah, it might work sometimes, but people is just like turned off by it. They want to doesn't make them vote more. They just don't like the other candidate. But when you get them into a situation, into a place, in an environment that's physical, where they have to sign up to vote, where they learn about what they're voting for and the importance, that's where you see a big change.
Mm.
The Democrats do a good job of that. A lot of the Republicans are just more into like they have these cult followers, I would call them, and
Mm.
and what's it called, like election deniers and all this stuff.
But this is the thing that I've got, because when you move away from actually being a political party and you become kind of like a cult, then I think you're in very, very dangerous territory. And even though it's possible to expect that of certain kinds of individuals or certain kind of leaders, you would expect seasoned sort of politicians who they've been in Congress for, I don't know, 30, 40 years. You'd expect them to be able to lean away from that kind of cultism, because nothing good is going to come of that. And that practically is what led to the January 6th riots, because these people felt entitled. They had their leaders saying to them, this has been stolen from us. This is an attack on our country, our constitution. That's just not politics. I don't know which era that goes back to, but that's not politics. And so, having these people behave in a way that I'm not saying this doesn't happen in other countries or the UK at all. I'm not trying to be superior in any way, but it's horrific what's going on in the States from that perspective.
Yeah, man. Can you imagine spending that much money on advertisements? Like when all that money could be spent on education and all this stuff. It's like, and all that money's being raised by lobbyists and these people who want these people empowered so they can make more money.
Mm. But the thing is, what's happening at grassroots level in the USA, a lot of people don't actually, maybe they don't give a shit, and so they don't go into the details of it. But as in, you've essentially got, as you said here, the political system is such that you don't have candidates campaigning on the basis of what they will do necessarily for the citizenship. Okay, you've got some people saying, I will keep your right to your right to choose, your right to an abortion. The others are saying, no, abortion is not right, it's murder, and so on. So you've got some of this going in, or you've got the Republicans talking about inflation, the quality of living, and so on, and how this is Biden's fault and because of his economic policies. Okay, but this is the overall sort of Democrats versus Republicans. At grassroots level, though, there are certain states where they're really jumping in with regards to education. So they don't want critical race theory to be taught. They don't want people to become aware of transsexuals and the different genders, and they want this kind of education to be removed from schools. So, pretty much they're trying to guarantee, by controlling education, that in 10 years' time or 15 years' time, when these people are ready to vote, that they will also have these prejudices and these biased opinions. So it's really important who owns the access to that level of management within society, isn't it?
Oh yeah, because once you're like, they teach you these types of things at a young age, you just believe it, and the people that you look up to tell you, even if they're wrong, you're gonna believe it because it's just loyalty.
Mm.
And I mean, actually, like during the Obama those years, I mean 2008 to 16, 20 almost, people really started thinking for themselves instead of the way they used to, because I could see a lot of my white friends who grew up with conservative families voting more blue and left just because of um, maybe the education, going to college, meeting different people, learning, and just being able to choose for themselves. But the ones that didn't really go to college and kind of hang back and work in blue collar jobs, like they don't vote or they can't vote because they have felonies, or they just voting for the Republicans because that's what their families are doing. And it's funny, like I was in London a couple weeks ago and I was talking to my two friends, and I asked them about how was the city when the Queen's funeral, and he was like, he started going off about it and how everybody was watching it, and he was like, it's embarrassing. He's like, it's embarrassing that people are not working or sitting still and watching this. He's like, and it's especially embarrassing that we have these. He said they have these two classes in England, and it's like the middle class Tories and the middle class Royalists. And he's like, your obsession and with the royal family, it doesn't, that they when you're born, they're already born above you, and the tax money, and that they're obsessed with these people who don't give a shit about them, and then you have these like middle class Tories who are voting for things that won't help them, but they're doing it because it's like this ideology that they have, but they
Mm,
want, you know. It's the same thing with the Republican Party in the United States. Like people they want to idolize Donald Trump and these billionaires, but these billionaires don't want to help give back or help them in any way, because people just want to have this dream of being this type of person. They want to be this rich person who can do whatever they want, instead of like trying to see like, why don't we help everybody get there? 'Cause, how many people you hear say like, oh man, if I was rich, I would have this, I would have this. Yeah,
mm,
I would move here. And it's like and that's what happened. And people get to this certain level. It's like, all right, fuck everybody else.
mm.
And then
Yeah, I'm
yeah,
always surprised, man, whenever I see on social media, because when I'm not exactly averse to criticizing these, overly wealthy individuals, and whenever I do, the backlash that I tend to get is like, you damn lefty, you this, you that, and I'm like, one minute, am I stealing from your kiddie's food tray or something? It's yeah,
like
I'm talking about these millionaires who don't pay tax. These people who, as soon as they earn a bit of extra cash, it's moved somewhere offshore. It's never coming back. They are essentially stealing money out of the economy. The whole point of some of our, economics is that the money sort of turns around the economy. You earn money, you spend money. You earn money, you spend money. But when you've got the people at the top end, they're taking their profits out of the economy. That money's not coming back. So
no,
so therefore, but there are so many different elements to economics. I'm not qualified to speak about, any of these. But generally speaking, this basic level understanding: if you take money out and it's not coming back, then somebody's not going to get it, and usually that's the poor people. So I mean, that's a very simplistic way of looking at it, and that tends to be what happens.
yeah, yeah. And I mean, I also don't think it's every rich person's um obligation to make sure that every poor person gets out of poverty. I just think like the governments have to do better regulation on these major corporations to make sure that when they're generating these billions of dollars, that some of this money is going back into the economy, going back into education, infrastructure, more than going overseas and buying more factories and producing more stuff that's not really benefiting the people that live in that country.
No, it's not, especially when the people that live in that country are being exploited anyway. The reason why we export labor is because it's cheaper elsewhere.
Yeah.
So when with this element that when Trump was talking about bringing manufacturing back to the USA, I'm sure that resonated with a number of people, especially when they realized that, hey, we're not making cars anymore. We used
Well,
to.
it makes me wonder, like, so say people are producing like, I don't know, shoes, and you're producing in the U.S. like they ship them overseas because they can produce it for less price. But if they were still producing them in the country they're selling them, would and the price costs more, the companies would still make money. They just wouldn't make as much money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, but they for them that's just it though, isn't it? As in, when you have a situation where the absolute priority is pure profit, then you've got an issue because then you will do anything to ensure that you achieve that target. And when you've got these hidden sort of guys in a background called shareholders, and the management says, "Look, sorry, I can't. It's not my fault. I've got shareholders. I've got to answer to." You know, okay, you got to answer to your shareholders, but you've also got a responsibility to your employees.
It was
You know,
cool.
yeah,
That's why I got so upset with Twitter. This guy, they sold it to Musk, and I understand, like, yeah, why not get the money? But then you just left half your employees out to dry. People you've been employing for years.
yeah. I don't know how to. As in, also, I think everyone is blaming Musk on this, and that's fair enough. Yeah, as in all. At the end of the entire process, if he says fire them, then he fires them. But surely there's also like a part of the deal could have been that you have to keep on to, I don't know, a certain quantity of staff for 12 months, for example. But apparently that kind of agreement wasn't there in place, and so they didn't care. But I read yesterday that people who weren't even told that they'd been fired, they were simply on their Slack account, and then all of a sudden, boom, they don't have any more access to their accounts. So they were just removed from their internal servers, and that was it while they were online. And the managers, that's how they found out, basically, which is ridiculous as a means of organizing yourself. But yeah, bringing it back to the election, because we could end up talking about these things for hours and hours and hours. When I comment on some of the things that are either said or done in the USA, I am straight away told you're a leftist, you're a Marxist. For example, recently I've been talking about Black Lives Matter on Twitter, and someone responded saying, actually, all lives matter, which is, yeah, of course, all lives do matter, but not all lives are under threat necessarily all the time, especially when we talk about humans. However, Black lives do happen to be under threat when they are confronted by certain situations that may involve police forces, for example, in the USA. But the thing is, as soon as you say that, then you get this response that, oh, you're just a left-wing Marxist. I don't get that. I mean, why would supporting, diversity, why would being somebody who feels, perhaps not too happy about the way that Black people are being singled out make me a Marxist? Do you get that as well? I mean, are all Black people Marxists?
No. I mean, can you repeat that again? I'm kind of confused what you're saying. You're saying, like, if you say something about, you're saying something negative or positive?
I'm saying that Black lives matter. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, because apparently one of the representatives of the Black Lives Matter movement is a self-declared Marxist, now it seems people of a certain political persuasion are saying that anybody who supports Black Lives Matters is also a Marxist.
No, I don't agree. I think the whole thing, when people say that, they're trying to downplay the whole movement. They're trying to downplay it into an organization that's called Black Lives Matter that's had some issues with corruption. And I don't think it started as that. It started as a movement of saying, like, look, Black Lives Matter as well. But when people start saying it's Marxist, because they're trying to make into an organization, not a movement. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I get that. But see, the
That's,
thing,
that's like the right wing way to like downplay it and try to get rid of it and make it look like it's bad and look what you guys are doing. All lives matter, blue lives matter. So this is like a way for them to do it because like it didn't start as like, I mean, I'm not exactly sure how it started, but it started as like people like saying like Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter, and then they started making like an organization, and nonprofit to kind of, to bring it to light to these issues. And they started these protests and marches, but then it became more like a bigger organization, lots of money, lots of donations. And I know like the founder, so she took, she spent $1 million on a home and had some issues with using the money inappropriately. And anytime like people who are against this, the right wing people, they try to like say like, yeah, you're a Marxist, you're this, if you have any association with this group.
Mm.
And that's where it's wrong. Like you can always say like, yeah, I believe Black Lives Matter. And I agree with it doesn't make you a Marxist. It's just like you were just agreeing with the movement and what the movement means. But, I've also like I support it and everything, but I never was like wearing stickers and putting it on my Instagram. I was like, hey, this is a good thing. Like I've always been aware of this, but I think some people need to be behind like a shield or a cape or a jersey to feel like they were doing the right thing. And like for me, I was like, yeah, it's great, it's positive, but I'm always going to support anything that's helping people who are like oppressed or disadvantaged and are being, racially abused. Yeah, so for me, it was never like I need to say I need to be part of Black Lives Matter. I need stickers and stuff. I just thought it's another avenue to help.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, the unfortunate reality is that this remains a problem in Western society. I'm not even just going to limit it to the USA because that's just blind to do. Western society has a problem with racism in the same way that other countries have a problem with racism. For example, China has a problem with racism. Quite clearly, Russia has a problem with racism. There are a number of countries that have these problems, and it doesn't seem as though anywhere around the world there is a truly successful model to try to root it out. What the midterms, however, has further shown us is that politics in a major way is just continuing to divide society. So when you've got a situation where Warnock is going out spending money on anti-Herschel Walker ads, and Walker's doing the same thing for Warnock, then you're not going to have a candidacy race based on the politics. It's based on hate. It's based on dividing people. Because if I'm a Democrat or a Republican, and I'm watching this ad, and it tells me, okay, Walker, he was abusive with his partners. He doesn't care about diversity. He's this, he's that, and so on. Then it's not that I'm going to say, oh, I don't like him. It's I'm going to hate him. Do you know what I mean? And so there is no way that there's going to be any kind of middle ground between these guys because they are being trained to hate the other.
No, they just, instead of just being like, okay, this person is still a stand-up person, a good community leader, blah blah blah. They want to play them down and make people hate them and look bad. So it's like if you can find the best way to make someone look bad, you're gonna win.
Yeah. That worked for Trump in 2016, right? I mean, he came up with all of these funny comments. Well, I say funny, they were funny for some people, but that worked for him.
Yeah, I mean, because Americans, they like this. This is part of the culture.
Yeah, but looking at now, I mean, Georgia is no longer that important because, as we know, the Democrats have already reached the figure of 50 that they needed. But with this runoff in December, I mean, I'm looking at the list. Chase Oliver, who is a libertarian, so his 2.1%, I would imagine a sizable chunk of that will go to Warnock. But I mean, even if it's just 50% of that goes to Warnock, he wins. He gets over 50%. Yeah. So, as in, I know that that's a bit too simplistic, but the chances are that the Democrats will pick that up as well. What about the House, though? What are your thoughts on that?
I don't know. I haven't really read too much, but I think they're just setting it up for the next election. But I think the next election is going to be a shit show.
Okay. What do you think? Trump's going to run again, or will it be DeSantis or somebody else completely?
I think Trump will definitely run.
Okay.
And I think he will have a good chance to win.
You think so?
Yeah. Unless the Democrats don't have a better option. Yeah, for sure.
But how is that possible? Because I can't believe that the best political candidate that either party has, and I'm not a fan of any party. I'm just I'm against the most evil party of the day, and at the moment, what seems to be the one which least represents my opinions is the Republican Party. But anyway, I don't like either of them. But I can't believe that in the entire United States political establishment, the best politicians they have are both over 74, 75 years old.
My generation, the generation, people a little bit above, maybe they just didn't get involved in politics as much. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but how does two white men over the age of 75 represent the United States of today? As in, if I'm going to look at these people and think, oh yeah, that guy is going to represent me. How? Which one of them?
Yeah,
I just find it very, very strange, to say the least.
Yeah, I agree, but I don't know. Just like when it's especially in 08, when you had this, when Obama won, you really thought like politics were changing, and there was a fresh, it was like fresh, younger, and it was. But then it's like it went so backwards. You would have thought there'd be more people getting involved, but you also have this system, where these people can be in office for so long. These senators, like Biden's been was a senator for like, I don't know, 40 years or something.
Mm. Yeah, but that's how they build up their power base, though, isn't it?
Exactly. And then they build enough companies and lobbyists underneath them that give them enough money to run, to get reelected. And
do you think when Obama was elected that the sort of civil rights movement or the sort of anti-racism movement finally said to themselves, "Oh, that's it, we're done now. We've got a black president. We don't have to worry about it anymore." And then do you think they sort of put their foot off the gas and the right just these sort of white supremacists just jumped in and said, "Oh no, we're back.
Oh, for sure, man. For sure. I remember when he got elected, I had a roommate in college, and he's a nice guy. I mean, really nice guy, respectable, smart, but he was so brainwashed into this like not southern, but just like this Republican Reaganomics type mentality.
Hmm.
And I remember on election night when Obama won, we were at home, and he just like couldn't believe it. He couldn't believe it. And he was like calling his parents and was like, "How can this happen? How can this happen?" You know?
Hmm.
And it's like, how is like it's like he's a terrorist, like all this stuff. And you're like, Jesus Christ, man. And like look back, like I say this all the time, like John McCain was a good American, man. Like,
Hmm.
I mean, if you want to, I don't know all the stuff, but he fought for his country. He was a POW. He did good things in Arizona. I guess I don't, people can go back and forth, but I mean, compared to what the guys running now, like he was not terrible person, like Trump and DeSantis. Like he was a good candidate for American president. I mean, he might have been super military backed, and probably would have spent lots of money, and he probably would have started some more wars. But I don't know. I mean, Obama supposedly deported more people than any other president. He was, pushing the zone drone strikes, and you got Osama.
Yeah. Well, I mean, as I was saying before, I'm not a fan of either party. So, as in, I think as much as
I read something yesterday that people they need a third party in the U.S. They got to break this up.
Yeah. definitely. But I mean, I can't see it happening because these guys. That's the problem, because it's if you focus the aims of both parties onto preventing a third party from growing, all that's going to happen is these guys are going to solidify themselves even more. What you actually need is like a proper movement which comes from nowhere and sort of just sweeps up. But the way that American politics is, this federal system that exists, the differences that exist between from state to state, there's no way you can get any kind of movement which is going to touch enough states quickly enough to be able to make a difference in an election year. And this is the problem that we've got. I say we've got, because unfortunately, the United States also has a huge influence on the rest of the world, considering the power of the dollar in international economics, and also politically they have a huge influence on what happens in Europe and South America. So it's not just a question of what happens in the USA; it's a question of what then happens as a knock-on everywhere else. And yeah, unfortunately, a lot of the time, most of the world is sort of caught in the middle of their disputes with Eastern countries or regimes, and that's also problematic for us.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, man. Do you know what this all tells me is that we've got a lot to talk about, Chris. Yeah, I can't let you keep running away for like a year and a half before we do our next podcast. That's just not right.
No, I mean, maybe we could do one while I'm at the beach. You'll have a lot more time, and I don't mind spending like 30, 40 minutes talking.
That's nice of you, Chris.
Well, I mean, like if it's in the morning, like 9 o'clock, it would be like 4 o'clock for you, 10 o'clock.
Okay.
Maybe
Yeah.
that work.
Yeah, that might work for me actually. Or we can get something organized. Yeah.
But yesterday was nice, man. I mean, you can tell everybody was feeling it. I mean, even people are teammates on the sideline who are watching. Everybody was pretty happy. It's a good feeling.
Yeah, Chris is alluding to our latest victory, our basketball team, and we had a really tough game against Zehlendorf. Shout out to Zehlendorf. Those guys, it's the first team to really push us, I think, and yeah, they're way too quick for me. So I had to make a sharp exit and watch the game for most of the game from the sideline, because it was just they were just too much for me. But our boys were brilliant. Tom, great. Get well soon, Tom. Yeah. So how did it feel for you, man? Back on the court in a really competitive fashion. It was good, right?
No, that was great because I mean, I've been playing basketball for probably almost 30 years, organized at least, and there's some kind of high you get out of competing like that you can't really get just playing pickup games and stuff. We have a uniform on and there's a referee and the time, and most people only get that in their younger part of their life, like 16 to 18, or like in the US, like in high school, like 14 to 18. You play competitive in front of fans and it's loud, and some a small percentage goes on to play in college, but I think so many years away from that, and to be able to focus and kind of push yourself to compete and not want to lose is a very awesome feeling that I really enjoy.
Yeah.
And it's because some of our usual plays and tactics weren't really working, and it was really cool to see how we kind of adjusted and found the right guys, and then went to our strengths. Because sometimes when you're playing a game, especially basketball, and things aren't working easily, you start forcing it. You're like, oh, I really need to try harder to get the shot. But instead of forcing it, we just said, all right, let's look at different options and be more patient. And we found Tom, like he hit like 3 in a row, and the game was pretty close. When he hit 3, we went up 10 really quick, and then it really slowed the other team down.
Yeah.
And then it rallied our team, and then they came in another comeback, and then we went inside to Sven and Helga, and that really made a big difference as well. And we just kind of beat them down. So then we were like, beat them down on the inside, on the outside, and then we started getting defensive stops as well and trying to push fast breaks.
Yeah, that was a big man. This is my zone. My zone is my home, he said as
I
he
mean,
came.
what a smart play. I mean, like I wouldn't call it a dirty play, but what a smart play. It reminded me of like old school NBA, Bill Laimbeer or something. And Sven was like, all right, this guy's driving, consistently getting to the hoop on us, and he's keeping them in the game. So he said, I'm just going to slide over and take the foul and stop him from doing it. And it's like, they always teach you, like, if you're going to foul somebody, foul them hard, right? Like any sports, like if you're going to foul them, like foul them hard. And I don't say it was a cheap foul, but he just got in there, and the guy, he felt it, and that was it. He stopped going to the hoop. You know what I mean? He knocked the wind out of him. It was not a dirty play. He just fouled him. He got the body. He went for the ball, and the guy just met his match. And then after that, like the number one player just stopped driving because he just knew, like, all right, he just didn't have it anymore.
Yeah, but anyone who says that basketball is a non-contact sport and hasn't played the game, because yesterday's team, I mean, when I was on offense, they had players they just had their arms all over me. I couldn't even move at one point. And the only way you're going to get free is, if the ref calls it, which some of the fouls they weren't calling, or you push them off, and then if you push, they fall over, you get an offensive foul called. So it is a really physical game in there. So
yeah, I got fouled a couple times. Even the guy who fouled me said, "Oh man, sorry, I got you there." The ref didn't call it. The only issue I really have with the league is there's this continuously like out of control driving into a person.
Yeah,
from both teams, and they only call it one way. It's always a block. But it's like if you stepped in to try to take a charge, are they going to call a charge? Even if it's what I mean? It's like, I mean, I think the skill level of the referees aren't so good where they like make these calls, which kind of ruins the game because like there's sometimes Nicholas was driving and someone's in his way. Is that a block? But they called it offensive because he didn't have complete possession, but he had possession of the ball and the guy got in his way. So it's like, then this guy who's driving to the hoop every time and initiating contact. If you step up and take a charge, are they going to call it or are they going to call a block? And it's like, is it worth the risk of getting another foul when he could miss the shot? But like, most of the time, like in basketball, you take the charge, like other team, they get scared because it's another foul, And it's demoralizing as a player to get a charge called on you.
Yeah, but I mean, it's our level of basketball. I suppose the refereeing. I mean, yesterday's refereeing was probably above our level of basketball, if that kind of makes sense to anybody. But I mean, generally speaking, the only thing that I want is that if they call a foul on one guy, then they call the same foul on the other guy. And a couple of times that didn't happen. But generally speaking, I think the referees this season at least have been a lot better than what I've had in the past. So I'm not gonna complain.
With guys yesterday, it was like, and they had two referees. They're not gonna make every call, of course. Man, these travels are crazy. There's nothing away with that in the US, man.
But in the NBA, they travel all the time, though. Yeah, as in having said that.
Yeah. Traveling is like one of the most, other than fouls, is the most like called penalty.
But man,
it's really part of the game. Like when you travel, it's an advantage.
Yeah, but I see it all the time in the NBA. Is in whenever I watch, is in they pick up, before they start dribbling, they're walking.
Yeah, they're walking, man. Speed and the length of the guys, and they've found a way to like make it so you can't see it in live motion. They talk about it. Like they teach them, like when they train and do moves and stuff, they just like there's a way of finessing it, and they make it look like this. It's not more than two steps, but it is. But they just have a way of picking the ball up at the right time or dribbling at the right time while moving the foot, and you can't really see it. And I also think the refs kind of just ignore some of it because it's more about entertainment with the NBA.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's a bit like how in football, as in soccer, the strikers have the benefit of the doubt and so on because they want to see goals, they want to see shots, they want to see moves. So Because otherwise, in the NBA, in almost every offense, they're going to be calling travel. Because I mean, these guys walk halfway down the street before the ball touches the floor, and you think, 1 minute, what's that?
Or like, you know, they carry the ball, you know.
Oh man, yeah. I was thinking about who was the guy from the young guy from the Celtics? What's his name? He's the main guy, the ball controller.
Jason Tatum.
Tatum, mate. How many times he like puts it in a bag when he dribbles,
and then they like take 3 steps, and I mean, Zach, you got to realize how big these guys are, man. They're bigger than Sven. You know, they're huge people. Like Sven's like a point guard in the NBA.
Nah, come on.
Yes.
My Sven's about 2 meters. There's no way he's a point guard.
Don't even. There's guys that play guard who are as big as him.
Okay.
2 guards. Really? I mean, these guys are big. I mean, Kevin Durant is like a point guard, and look how big he is.
Yeah, okay. But Durant is what, 7'2"? I mean, he's
But I'm saying like there's guards who are as big as Sven. And what's he, like 6'6"?
No, I think he's a bit more than that. He's probably 6'8", 6'9". We'll ask him on Wednesday.
Yeah, there's definitely 6'8" guards like all over the NBA. That's why it's so hard to guard, because like imagine a guy that skill with the dribbling ability. Like he can do whatever he wants.
Yeah, well, Jordan was 6'7", wasn't he? So as a player, yeah.
I mean, Kobe was like 6'7", 6'8".
Man, that's just crazy to think about. I can't believe there's so many tall people in the States, man. What you guys eat?
I mean, but think about like Sven being able to dribble and shoot and jump out the gym like Kobe.
Well, he can't jump.
It's unguardable.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but Sven. He can't dribble like Kobe, and he doesn't leap around as much. But I tell you, he's got the shot. I
mean, dude, man, if he could just. I mean, like yesterday, like he missed a couple, but like he also doesn't get fouls when it's definitely fouls. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's kind of not fair, because like I've seen it so many times where he goes up and the guys come down, like 2 guys come down on the arms, and he's just like, how is that not a foul? But he's just so much bigger that they just don't give it to him. It's like Shaq, you know, they never gave Shaq fouls.
Yeah, Shaq didn't deserve him. And what's the point of giving Shaq a foul anyway? He's going to miss the free throw, right? So
that was the hack of Shaq. Do you remember those years?
Yeah.
Like it was a high percentage to foul, and that's what I was saying with our team. Like, why are we fouling this guy? Like, stop fouling him, because we're up by 10 points, and you just put your hands up and just give him, like, take away his space, but don't hack him, because then he's gonna miss it most of the time, and then you just get the rebound. But when you come down and bail them out every time, and if you're up by 10 points, don't foul.
Yeah, but I mean, that guy, for example, their number 12, brilliant player, but he was doing he drew the fouls a lot. I mean, there was one time I saw Phil standing straight. Yeah, his arms are straight up, and number 12, he jumped sideways into Phil. Yeah, and then missed the shot, and he's complaining that he didn't get the call. Dude, you're jumping diagonally. I mean, jump straight up and you get the call if it's a foul. So I can't blame.
Stop fouling. I mean, like you're bailing him out, and you're giving them energy, like time to cut the score.
Yeah.
I mean, like every time you foul them, the clock stops. They get 2 shots. They get to rest, and they get to set up on defense. Like you want to keep them missing and keep pushing down, and they score. Okay, and then we come back and we score. But you don't want to we score, they come down, get a foul, stop the clock, they score 2, now they're down 8. We come down, we miss, you come down, they get a foul, they're down 6. You know what I mean? And then we come down 4, and then but if you just play straight up, they miss or they score, we score, they can't keep up.
Yeah,
because you can't attack every off the possession. They couldn't score on us every time, but if we were bailing them out on the foul, and it gives you confidence. You start shooting, you start making free throws, you're ready to go. Okay, like we're getting points. I'm scoring here.
Yeah, we were quite lucky from that perspective, because they missed a lot of foul throws, and I thought that was going to hurt us a bit in the first quarter. We missed a few as well. But then
missed 2 to start.
Yeah, but then we had some really good offenses. Anyway, okay. Fair enough. It was. I really enjoyed yesterday's game, mainly because I was watching it from the sidelines, watching you guys do all the work, and I thought it was brilliant to see. So, yeah. All right. Okay.
That's great.
But very, very quickly then, before you run off, so burgers.
Yeah.
Yeah. When are we gonna?
You like the book I sent you?
Yeah, it looked good, man. It looked good. But what we want to do is it's a bit different though, isn't it? So
I mean, I would say it's a bit different, but it's the same kind of like, he talks about burgers from different places in the country, and I want to talk about sandwiches in different places of the country.
But we also want to talk about the sort of the social situation. Yeah.
I think he does too, but not as much. But I mean, I kind of want to talk about the history and kind of the sociology of it, I guess. Like what was going on at that time period, why they chose to use this stuff, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, my social media manager, she's asking me for this stuff, so
okay,
I want to get one down soon. It'd be great for me.
Okay, you've got a social media manager.
Yeah, sure do.
Respect. Okay. All right. I don't have a social media manager. I am my own social media manager, so I guess I have one too. Yeah, fair enough. Okay. Well, let's get that on the agenda. Then maybe while you're at the beach, then you could talk to me about that too.
Yeah, sounds good to me, brother.
Yeah, good man. Okay, but yeah, we'll talk about that then before you go. All right, Chris, it was good to have you back. Nice to have a bit of a chin wag, talk about politics and
Wow.
Say that again. I lost you.
Chin wag.
Yeah. Isn't that what you call it in the USA? Chin wag.
Yeah.
Chewing the curd.
That's cow.
Yeah, that's what they do, isn't it? They chew the curd.
Yeah, that's what cows do.
Cool. All right, man.
All right.
Enjoy the start to the week, and I'll see you on Wednesday for some intensive training.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like I'm going to miss a couple games, but I'll be back in the December ready to play, I guess.
Yeah, I think we've got another couple of games in December, so we're gonna have to make sure that we keep the W's rolling in.
And then
yeah, then you can steal the show.
All right, boss.
All right, take care, man.
See ya.
Two and Mike.